Okay, all right. Well, why don't we get going here with two great customer stories coming from a couple different angles. Kyle, we'll get started with you.
Sure, absolutely.
While Grant's getting all mic'd up here, but tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing at Tinder, and one important question: what did you want to be when you grew up? Because that's an important one.
Good question. By the way, thank you so much, Netlify, for having me. It's such an honor to be here. And by the way, thank you everyone for coming out. It's wild to see so many faces in person again. It's awesome to be here. And by the way, Grant, it's such an awesome sharing a stage with you again.
It's good to see you. Yeah, wild, like real humans out in the world. This is intense.
So there's a little bit of a funny story. The last time these two were together was in early March at Gatsby Conference, actually talking together.
March 2020. And
they've come back around.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
My first time back on the stage is back with you, full circle. So I'm Kyle Boss, and I am a web developer at Tinder. And for the last 4 years, I've been completely immersed in the world of the Jamstack. Over the last few years, I've picked up stories on how to make our websites at Tinder blazing fast, strategies in order to make sure that everyone on the team, no matter engineer, product manager, designer, is able to use the tools that they need to use to get their job done. And lastly, just by the space of where we're at Tinder, mixing technology with human connection, I've been able to collect a lot of great stories along the way that I can't wait to share with you all today.
That's great. Grant?
Yeah, and always wanted to be a software engineer, which is wild to think, but literally ever since maybe high school, I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, welcome. Grant, thank you for joining us.
I'm here now. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Oh, everyone's smiling and like happy. It's freezing up here. You all have jackets. It's crazy. I'm Grant Glidewell. I'm a software engineer at Docusign, and I'm passionate about taking companies out of the digital stone age and into something that is at least sufficiently modern so that developers don't quit en masse. So that's more or less what I've been doing at Docusign, and Netlify has been extremely helpful about it. But unlike Kyle, I did not grow up wanting to be a software engineer. I wanted to be a drug dealer. Someone gets it.
I mean, those early Miami Vice TV shows, maybe Friday night.
They're living a good life.
Okay.
I don't see a problem with it.
Okay, we're open and inclusive here. We're open and inclusive. Anyways, but you have a real job, a daytime job.
Yeah.
Not that drug dealing's not a real job.
No,
I'm just don't offend anybody.
Slinging code.
Okay, back on track. All right, so on the topic of keeping people happily employed in open and progressive stacks, let's talk a little bit about the Jamstack. And what's your take on it? What's working? What had you open to changing from your good enough stack that's been running the world for the last 10 years?
Can I just say that Jam is neither a stack nor is it something you can eat. This is the first thing I thought when I heard of the Jamstack, and I was like, who came up with this? And they're like, this Netlify company? Like, what? So, but like in general, what the Jamstack represents, and it was really interesting hearing you talk about like needing a common nomenclature to understand, like just to have a starting off point. Because at the time that this came out, what it represented was, while not a stack, was this concept of like the modern web, which I could not possibly as eloquently illustrate as you did. Brilliant, but how are we supposed to follow that? All of that is like just part of the talent at this company? Wild.
Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, so to get everyone on the same playing field, I want to also introduce like a quick little metaphor for what the Jamstack for me represents. So I want everyone to imagine going to a fancy restaurant, like your favorite fancy restaurant. The kind that you go, of course, because you're hungry, but you also leave a little bit hungry because the plates are so small. And usually those plates probably do take quite a bit of time to cook, 4 to 5 hours. But I want you to imagine how long it took for that dish to get to your table once you ordered it. Was it 4 to 5 hours? Hopefully not. Hopefully it was around 20 to 30 minutes. But what's interesting here is that the chef, even before you made your request, already did all of the hard work, right? Throughout the day, they were preparing the meals. And when you made your order, all the chef had to do was compose the plate and then take it out to your table. So very much like the Jamstack, which I like to think of as a static site that's created dynamically, all the hard work is done even before your user makes the request. All the API calls are done on the build, made by Netlify, and at the end of the day, you're going to get a bunch of static files that you can serve to the user when they do make that request. And that makes the user's experience that much faster. And that was something that we were really excited about at Tinder. It allows you to do things like Little Caesars, who went on the Jamstack January 2020. February 1st, 2020, they had a Super Bowl commercial pointing millions of people to their website. I don't know the Little Caesars engineers, but I can imagine they were probably sleeping well at night knowing that their website won't go down because it's serverless. Also, because it's serverless, you get scalability. You can do great things like build an e-commerce site. If you go to louisvuitton.com, that is a Jamstack site. As mentioned, peloton.com, Jamstack. If you go to Popeyes and use their ordering screen, that too is Jamstack. And for us at Tinder, just knowing that our users are going to be using websites that are going to be fast no matter where they are in the world, and also scalable, knowing that if we do go viral in any of our marketing websites or SEO sites, that's not going to go down, that was kind of exciting for us. So in a nutshell, that's why we went over to the Jamstack.
Okay, that's great. Well, so let's get a little out of the theoretical, more into the specific. What are you working on today? Where is this shining its beautiful light inside the company?
That's a good question. For Tinder, I can't say what we're working on today. But I would like to flip that question. I would love to share our very first Jamstack story, if that's okay with everyone.
That's totally fine.
So in 2018 at Tinder, Tinder is a company that's based off of love and inclusion. We found something as a brand that was missing within the emojis. And we found that there were love emojis, there were hand-holding emojis, couple emojis, but these emojis that had more than one person, you couldn't choose individual skin tones for each one of them. They had to share the same skin tone in 2018. And at Tinder, we realized that there was a whole representation of love, identity, that was missing in the emoji Unicode set. And that's interracial love, interracial relationships, interracial friendships. And this was something that we wanted to see changed in the world. And so we immediately put up a change.org petition. And soon after, we're like, wait, we really want to make this a reality. So we ended up making planning to put out a marketing page that was able to say, hey, this is what we're about. This is what the project is. We want to see these interracial couple emojis become a reality. But we had one issue with this marketing page. We wanted to make sure that if it went viral, if it made it to the top page of Reddit, if it was shared by hundreds of thousands of people, we did not want it to go down. And at the time, 2018, the Jamstack was rising. It was something that I've heard about, never used. And at Tinder, we were like, you know what? Let's give the Jamstack a try. So this was our first time using Gatsby. And within a couple weeks, we got a landing page up. It's at emoji.tinder.com. You can still check it out. It's still live, hosted by Netlify. And it was actually a really interesting experience because at first we didn't know what was going to happen. Were we going to get one signature, a dozen signatures, hundreds, thousands? We really didn't know. And for the first couple days, yeah, we got dozens, and then more dozens, and then like a snowball, we were getting hundreds and thousands. And eventually we got a hashtag trending, hashtag represent love. We had a full page ad in the New York Times, and people, even if it was just for a second, it felt like the whole world was united to make this a thing.
That's fantastic.
And in 2019, we got the call. 2019, we got the call from the Unicode Consortium, and we did it. I want to say we, it wasn't Tinder. It was everyone who signed that petition to make it happen. And so now if you take out your phones and do a hard press on any emoji that has multiple people or multiple hands or multiple faces, you can change their skin tone individually to each respective person. And over the years, I'm sure we'll have many more beautiful stories with the Jamstack. But this is one I think all of us who worked on it will carry with us for the rest of our career.
That's fantastic. That's great. That's great. Wonderful story. Grant?
That is brilliant and another really difficult one to follow. Rough. Yeah, Docusign.com.
We know it.
Yeah.
Most all of us use it.
We've been working on this for a few months now, and we're finally rolling out our new homepage. It's at something like 25%. You guys know how these like progressive rollouts. It's nightmarish. Roll it out and then roll it back. So it's rolling out. We're at about 25% right now. Certainty is high that we will continue all the way through to 100%. So if you go to Docusign.com right now, you will either get old and nasty or new and nice. Depending on how lucky you are. About a quarter of you, I think, will get in.
Can I just keep refreshing until I get the nice? Or no?
I mean, yeah, get private mode, yeah,
Okay.
give it a shot. That among all of our new marketing experiences will all be built and hosted through Netlify.
What are some of the other? What does the rest of the stack look like?
Oh, the rest of the stack?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
Because I think that's a challenge with a lot of companies today is they're in a journey. A lot of times they get to start with something new, but there's already legacy in place.
Right.
How did that navigation happen internally?
Right. So we are using a headless CMS, like the rest of the modern world, and essentially our stack consists of a Next.js static generated site. The only requirement that we have to build within this stack is to use React, and so the stack is very simple. And one of the mandates that I think is important is kind of keeping it simple. Keep it simple. Get out of the way of your developers. Let them do what they do best. If React is the only standard that we have, you have the flexibility within our stack and all of Netlify to build with whatever you want. We can put it out there on the internet, and I'm confident in that.
Okay, so so it's great to understand a little bit about the business. How much does the leadership team come into the decision? Is it just what our developers want, our developers get?
When I came onto DocuSign a couple of years ago, there was some discussions already in process about how are we going to navigate away from legacy systems will remain nameless. So there was already concerns around that and some motivation built to move away from this. So it wasn't a tough sell. The one thing that I think I asserted very strongly was that we need to make the right decisions so that we can attract the right talent to work on this. And so I think working with React, there's a pretty broad base of good developers working in that space, and they probably want to work with a lot of modern tooling. And so this is something that I used on top of, you were talking about high reliability, uptime, all of these things. If something in DocuSign were to go viral, I'm not sure really what that would be. How would DocuSign... Somebody figures it out, let me know. I'll communicate that to marketing. It'll be great. But realistically, I want to work with people who are excited to work on a modern stack. And so that's part of the game that we played, is we really wanted to attract talent with this as well.
That's great. It's great to hear how that's so impactful to the business, and retaining talent is so hard right now. Everyone knows that. It's, so that's great. All right, let's shift gears a little. We heard from Dana, who gave us a little more visibility into everything we've been shipping. We've got an internal value around own it, ship it. We've been trying to ship a lot more. And you heard about two great new, kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum, Edge, Netlify Graph on connecting the stack. Grant, how do you think... which one resonates more for where you guys are at in your journey?
So early in my Jamstack career, I used a meta framework, which shall remain nameless, and it had this really incredible feature of taking lots and lots of data sources and allowing me to access it through GraphQL. It was brilliant. I was like, this should be a product, and now it is. Now it is. Awesome. Well done. I'm super stoked to get involved with that. That's super useful.
That's fantastic. Kyle?
I want to start off by saying localization and globalization is hard. It's very important, and it's very important that it's done right. However, it's really difficult to do. And when I saw the Edge function announcement, I got really excited because it makes our world just feel that much smaller. And us as devs, it makes our jobs a little bit easier for localization and globalization. So I am super stoked about that. Also super stoked about using Edge functions for potentially A/B testing. I'm a huge fan of A/B testing.
Me too.
Yeah, it's gonna open many doors for us. So I'm super stoked about it.
Why is everybody so excited about A/B testing?
Data-driven
future.
results.
And the past.
Yeah, I guess I've just created my own nightmare. I'm sorry.
Very fair.
We have lots of conversations where we're arguing over what's above the fold, what words, this, that. And I'm like, can someone show me a piece of data that says that actually is the best?
That's very true. A/B testing is a great way to get very objective results. If there's ever like a conversation, which one will go better? Obviously, A/B testing is a great way to just put it out there and see which one wins.
Yeah. So anyways, all right. We heard from Matt. We heard about the vision, the future. We talked about all of the ecosystem that exists across CMS.
That last slide?
Was a lot.
That's intense.
Yes.
It's intense.
What even was that? Did you see all of that?
Databases, log drains, security, CRM systems, workflow tools, frameworks. Where do you start? So, 3 to 5 years. Put on your future vision goggles. Again, remember, this wasn't here 5 to 7 years ago.
Yeah.
The Jamstack didn't exist until Matt and Chris came
Matt,
around.
2017, right? 2017, 5 years ago. Wow.
2017. So where do you see it going? How do you, from the practicality of what you're working on to the craziness of everything that exists, the ability for different teams and departments to choose different stacks and different frameworks deployed differently. Where do you see it going?
So first and foremost, there will be no stacks in the future. No stacks whatsoever. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm sorry.
Okay, pancakes? Will it be?
Just pancakes. No, but I do want to thank you. Jamstack did provide one of the most entertaining tweets I've ever seen, which was, I think it was Wes Boss had a little stack of like the jams from something. You guys remember that? Thank you for just one other dude saw that. Awesome. Great. I loved that. I thought it was great. So I see integration layers like the graph, like Netlify Graph, playing a bigger and bigger role. And I see probably engineers that specialize in that type of work, that type of integrative work. Hopefully more DX engineering. I think that's very important, something that's missing from a lot of companies. They don't really care what their developers' lives are like. And I do. As much as I wanted to be a drug dealer, being a developer is pretty awesome. And I kind of want to keep it that way. And I see, people getting burnt out and people feeling miserable and people moving companies every couple of years because this place has lost its luster. I'd much rather it be a situation where, my work is my work and I get to do what I'm good at and not mess around with all this other stuff that I feel less comfortable in, but I have to do because we've got to get this done. That's hopefully a very bright future.
Love it. Kyle?
Sure. So Matt, when he mentioned the 1 million developers, I'm like, wait, am I a part of that? And so I just pulled up the 1 million devs tool. I was number 317,916. Weird
Round of applause.
Weird flex, but kind of cool. So
Just say it.
1.5 million customers and counting. That is wild. And just to think, we're
2.5 now.
2.5. That's wild. And so where do I see the Jamstack going in 5 years? Just by this number alone, I think we're going to get more developers. And like Matt said, we're going to get more tools. And every year we're going to get a new framework. We're going to get more Gatsbys. We're going to get more Nexts, more Nux. And I think that's okay. I think that's gonna make our ecosystem thrive. One of my favorite parts about our community is that it's incredibly innovative. And whenever we find a problem, we create a new tool to fix it. And with these new tools in our tool belt, we're gonna have a more likely chance that we're gonna have the right to solve our problems. And so, yes, we're gonna get more. Do you mind if I switch? We're gonna get more tools in 5 years. And I think with the fact that Netlify is going to always be there as our build system, as features that are even beyond the build with this new GraphQL feature and things like that, the fact that we're going to have more tools, I don't think is going to be an issue. I think it's going to keep us thriving. So yeah, more devs, more tools, and more ways to solve our problems. And I think that's kind of cool.
And at that pace, everlasting employment as part of it.
Very true.
That's
Very
right,
true.
which is good for all. Which is good for all. All right, well, big round of applause for Kyle, for Grant. They're going to be here after, and so please connect, ask questions, network. We've got the bar open. We've got more food. And we thank you for coming out. It's been fantastic. We tried to keep it short, sweet, bite-sized. Dana always throws in a little spice into the conversation, so it's fantastic. But we're here to connect and talk after, and thank you so much for coming out. Big round of applause for our speakers.
Thank you.